Beneath the thin veil that separates life from death, there are guides who walk unseen. You have heard their footsteps in your dreams, felt their presence in the hush between your heartbeats, and you have wondered, when your final moment comes, who will walk beside you? And if you knew their names, would you dare to call them now? But what if knowing their names could change more than your death? What if it could change the way you live today, reminding you that every choice, every step, is already part of the crossing? By the end of this journey, you will know how to recognize them. You will understand why they have been painted on tomb walls, sung about in epics, and whispered into the ears of the dying. And perhaps, when your soul stands at the ultimate crossing, you will remember what you hear today. And maybe, long before that day comes, you will begin to notice them. On street corners, in sudden dreams, in the strangers who arrive at the exact moment you need them. Welcome, seeker of forgotten truths. You step into a chamber where the air feels ancient, where each shadow seems to carry a memory not your own. Here, words are more than sound, they are pathways. And one word, older than empires, holds the key. Psychopomp, Darawa. It began in the language of ancient Greece, Psychopompos, guide of souls. In the old myths, this title was given to those who could walk in two worlds. Gods like Hermes, swift and silver-tongued, and Charon, the ferryman whose oar split the black waters of the underworld. Their task was not to judge, not to condemn or reward, but to lead, past rivers, through gates, across the thresholds that separate the living from the dead. Centuries turned, empires fell, and the word traveled. By the time it entered English in the early 1600s, it had already begun to shift in meaning. No longer bound to a single pantheon, Psychopomp could mean any being, deity, spirit, or unseen guide, who escorts the soul in life's final passage. In the 19th century, it took on yet another form, stepping beyond myth into the mind itself. The psychologist Carl Jung called the psychopomp an archetype, an inner figure, a bridge between your conscious thoughts and the depths of your own unconscious, appearing in dreams as a wise old man, a mysterious woman. But whether in stone temples or in the corridors of the psyche, the role has always been the same: to be there when you cannot walk alone. Imagine this: a death without a guide, a soul untethered, wandering between worlds. It is a thought that chills across all cultures. From the Nile's edge to the ice of the north, people have told stories to make sure it never happens. The details differ, but the promise is the same: no soul will walk unaccompanied. And yet, this is only the beginning, for the true story of the Psychopomp stretches far beyond Greece, far beyond the Western mind. It winds through the golden halls of Egypt, the shadowed forests of the Norse, the tents of shamans under starlit skies. So I ask you, when your time comes, will you know the signs? Before we step further, remember this: they do not appear for the curious. They appear for the crossing. If you were to meet one tonight, what form would they take? Would you follow? Tell me in the comments below. You walk through sand that remembers every step ever taken toward the horizon. The air tastes of stone and incense, heavy with the prayers of 1,000 generations. Ahead rises the silhouette of a figure you have seen in paintings, carvings, dreams, a jackal's head above a human body, eyes like polished obsidian that have watched the souls of the dead for over 5,000 years. This is Anubis, guardian of cemeteries, keeper of embalming rites, and the most ancient of Egypt's guides between worlds. In this land, death is not an end, but a journey through the Duat, the shadowed realm beneath the earth, where stars shine like seeds in black soil, and no one enters it without a guide. You see him in the papyrus scrolls of the Book of the Dead, not as a judge, but as an escort. He takes the deceased by the hand and leads them into the hall of Ma'at, where the heart is weighed against the feather of truth. Every movement is measured, every gesture precise. He stands beside the scales, watching, ensuring that the balance is just. If the heart is light, the soul passes onward into the fields of paradise. If heavy, it falls into the waiting jaws of Amit, the devourer. Anubis does not decide your fate. He simply ensures you reach it. In temple reliefs and tomb paintings, he is shown attending the mummification, performing the opening of the mouth ceremony, so the soul may breathe in the next life. Sometimes he stands silent beside the bier, jackal ears pricked toward the unseen, as if listening for the moment when the soul slips free. In older hymns, he is praised as the god who is upon his mountain, watching over the necropolis, keeping both living and dead within their appointed realms. The Egyptians called upon him at the moment of passing. For them, to die without Anubis was to risk wandering alone in the dark corridors of the underworld, never finding the gates of the afterlife. But with him, you are not abandoned. You are conducted, as carefully as a royal guest, past dangers you cannot yet imagine. You might think his work ends at death, but the oldest texts speak of something stranger, that Anubis also ushers the newborn soul into life. Just as he guides you out of this world, he can guide you into it, suggesting that the doorway is not one way, but a passage used in both directions. Perhaps that is the oldest truth of all, that the one who meets you at your last breath was there at your first. Imagine if the one guiding you into this life has been quietly walking beside you ever since, watching, waiting, until the circle closes. If you could choose, would you want a guide like Anubis, silent and watchful, or a guide who speaks to you as they lead you on? Let me know in the comments. Now, and still, Egypt's vision of the guide is only one facet of a much older jewel. To the west, beyond deserts and seas, another culture saw the crossing differently, not in the quiet tread of a jackal god, but in the swift steps of a winged messenger and the steady oar of a ferryman. The path is opening toward Greece. Do you follow? The air shifts. The golden sands of Egypt dissolve into the salt-stained wind of another shore. You hear the lapping of dark water, the creak of wood, and the faint chime of bronze sandals striking stone. A figure emerges from the mist, not jackal-headed, but human, with a traveler's cloak and a golden staff coiled with twin serpents. This is Hermes Psychopompos, the conductor of souls in the Greek imagination. Swift as thought, gentle as a whispered farewell, he appears at the instant you leave your body. No chains, no force, only the light pressure of a hand at your back, guiding you away from the world you knew. The poets say he gathers the newly dead as a shepherd gathers his flock, leading them through the ways of dankness to the shadowed halls below. But Hermes does not walk alone. At the end of the path lies the Black River, Styx, Acheron, sometimes both, its waters wide and without bridge. Here waits Charon, the ferryman, his boat low in the water, his eyes shadowed beneath a ragged hood. In one hand, the oar, in the other, the silence of centuries. Hermes brings you to the riverbank. Charon looks you over and extends a gnarled hand. If the ancient custom has been kept, if the coin was placed in your mouth or upon your eyes, he will take it, nod once, and bid you step aboard. If not, in Greek thought, the unburied and the unpaid wander for 100 years, haunting the living, unable to cross. The boat rocks as you sit. Behind you, the living world fades into mist. Before you, the gates of Hades loom. Charon rows without pause, each stroke pulling you deeper into the realm of the dead. The water is soundless, swallowing even your thoughts. And then, stone steps, iron gates, and the end of his duty. He says nothing as you step onto the shore. His task is to deliver, not to comfort. In the painted lekythoi of Athens, you see this partnership immortalized. Hermes leading a veiled soul to Charon's skiff, two guides working as one to gather, one to convey. Neither judges you, neither alters your fate. They are passage, nothing more, and nothing less. Sometimes another guide appears in their world. Hecate, torchbearer at the crossroads, whose light cuts the gloom, guiding those who linger between realms. But Hermes remains the central figure, the divine intermediary who can move between Olympus, Earth, and the underworld with equal ease. In the Greek mind, death was a journey with stages, the gathering, the crossing, the arrival, and at each stage, someone, divine, inevitable, was there to see you through. But if even one stage is missed, the journey falters. In forgotten myths, souls who miss their guide are said to wander until the stars themselves fade. Yet the Greeks were not alone in this vision. Far to the north, where frost crowns the forests and the sky shatters with spears of light, another kind of guide takes to the field, not in silence, but in the cry of battle and the thunder of hooves. Some guides walk in silence, others ride into chaos. If you had to choose your last escort, serene messenger or battle maiden, which would you trust? Tell me below. Would you follow them through the storm? The air sharpens. Salt water and myrrh vanish, replaced by the iron tang of blood and the cold bite of northern wind. Snow swirls across a battlefield littered with broken shields, the last cries of warriors echoing into the frost-heavy night. Above, dark-winged shapes descend, not vultures, but women in shining armor, hair streaming like banners, eyes alight with an unearthly fire. They are the Valkyries, Odin's chosen, the choosers of the slain. In the chaos of battle, they move like lightning, unseen by the living, yet felt in the shiver before death. Their task is not mercy, but selection. To find those whose valor has earned them a place in Valhalla. When your moment comes, one will dismount, offer you a drinking horn, and speak your name, not as it was in life, but as it will be remembered in Odin's hall. In carvings and on the stones of Gotland, the image endures, a mounted hero greeted by a woman at an archway, horn in hand, the gates of the afterlife behind her. To the fallen this is no funeral. It is a feast awaiting. You are not led away in silence, but carried aloft on a steed that outpaces the wind, bound for the golden hall where the Einherjar drink and prepare for the final battle. Yet the Valkyries are not the only psychopomps of the north. In the long dark of winter, the sky sometimes trembles with the passage of the wild hunt. A spectral cavalcade of riders, led by Odin himself. Horned, cloaked, and terrible to behold, he sweeps through the night, gathering the souls of the dead, or those fated to die before dawn. Some say to hear the hunt is an omen of death. Others believe it is a summons to join the riders in their endless chase. Odin bears the title Valfur, father of the slain. His claim on souls is as absolute as his presence is unpredictable. One night he is the wise wanderer, speaking in riddles to those on the edge of death. Another, he is the storm lord, thundering across the sky with Sleipnir, his eight-legged steed, collecting the fallen. As the Norse understood death as a branching road. Those who died bravely in battle might ride with Valkyries to Valhalla or to the hall of Freya. Those who drowned were taken by Ran, the sea goddess, into the halls beneath the waves. And those who died of sickness or old age found themselves in the cold realm of hell. Not necessarily in torment, but in the stillness of a fate unlit by glory. Here in the north, the psychopomp is not a gentle hand in the dark. It is a fierce presence, a tide that cannot be resisted. Your soul is claimed, not coaxed. And in that claiming lies the assurance that you will not wander. Your path is chosen, your destination secured. But what if the one who comes for you is not the one you expect? In the sagas, some who fought for one god were taken by another, proof that even in death, the journey holds surprises. But beyond the snow and saga, beyond the clang of swords and the howl of the hunt, another kind of guide waits, not in the service of gods or in the courts of warriors, but in the tents of shamans, in the chants that rise under starlit skies, in the trance journeys that cross unseen thresholds. Would you follow them, knowing they walk not only with the dead, but with the newborn? You stand now where maps dissolve, on the seam between worlds. The wind here carries two kinds of voices, those who have gone before and those yet to be born. In this place, the guide may wear many faces. From the yurts of Siberia to the rainforests of the Amazon, the shaman has long walked this in-between. In trance, drumbeat pulsing like the heartbeat of the earth, they journey to the land of the dead, not to linger, but to escort. Sometimes they carry the soul of the newly departed on a spirit horse or bird, leading it to the ancestors. Sometimes they walk beside the living through symbolic death and rebirth in initiation rites, teaching that every threshold, whether of life or death, demands a companion. These guides are not only for the ending, they are also midwives to the beginning. Among the Altai, they say the shaman greets souls at both gates, the one you enter at birth and the one you exit at death. In their cosmology, both journeys are sacred, both require a steady hand. And sometimes, they say, a soul will refuse both gates, lingering at the seam between worlds until a shaman calls it home. But the path shifts again. In the dim halls of late antiquity, Gnostic and Hermetic teachers saw the crossing not as a descent, but as an ascent, up through layers of reality, past the powers that bind the soul to matter, toward the divine soul. Here the psychopomp is a revealer of hidden knowledge, Poimandres, the luminous mind that led Hermes Trismegistus through the structure of the cosmos, the risen Christ guiding his disciples past the gatekeepers of the spheres, Sophia or the archangel, Michael teaching the passwords. Without such a guide, the journey would be perilous. With them, it becomes a return not to where you began, but to the place you have always belonged, though you have never seen it with open eyes. In these traditions, the Psychopomp is as much teacher as escort, showing you not only the road, but the way to walk it so you are not turned back. The underworlds of Egypt and Greece become, here, the seven heavens, the Ogdoad, the Pleroma. The rivers become corridors of light, the ferrymen become keepers of wisdom, and still, the form changes. In the modern world, death doulas, shamans, mediums, and ordinary people take up the role in their own way. Some sit beside the dying, holding vigil, speaking softly, so the crossing is less lonely. Some claim to meet spirits in dreams or visions, helping them go to the light. Many who survive near-death experiences speak of a presence, sometimes a loved one, sometimes a being of light that walks with them until they are told, "Not yet." The details vary. The pattern remains. Perhaps it is the mind's way of easing the fear of death. Perhaps it is the soul's way of remembering the oldest truth, that in our final journey we are not alone. The firelight dims. You are back in the quiet chamber where this began. But something has shifted. Now you know the names: Anubis, Hermes, Charon, Valkyrie, Odin, Ran, the shaman, the angel, the teacher of light. You know the signs: animal companions, crossroads, gates, rivers, bridges, torches in the dark. And you know that when the moment comes, the form they take will be the one you most need to see. So ask yourself now, before that day arrives, if a psychopomp were to appear for you tonight, would you recognize them? And if you did, would you follow? Because in the end, the choice is not whether they will come, but whether you will have the courage to take their hand when they do. You've walked through every tradition, every doorway. Now tell me, if your guide came for you tonight, who would it be and why? Share your vision and listen for the footsteps. And if you wish to keep walking deeper into the hidden paths and forgotten truths, subscribe now. So when the next doorway opens, you'll be ready to step through.